A very good evening to everybody that is watching. Thank you for joining us tonight on the evening review. My name is Toivo Njabela. Tonight on the platform, we are joined by Johannes Tjitumba. He is an activist who preoccupies himself with mostly issues affecting people with different disabilities. He is a visually impaired man, and he is here to tell us also about the challenges that visually impaired people in particular face in an election year like 2024. Johannes, it's a pleasure to have you on the platform. Thank you for making time.
Well, good evening to the listeners. Thank you very much, Mr. Njebela.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I will congratulate you for the, great job that you are always doing. So I always listen to your interviews in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you are doing a great job, man.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to you and keep it up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, as you indicated earlier, of course, my name is Johannes Tjitumba, and today I'm going to give you a highlight a bit of, the challenges that mostly visually impaired or differently abled people faced, and particularly want us to analyze a bit when it comes to election. I don't know. This is how many elections so far did we held as from 1990?
1989. Yes.
1989.
Yeah, it's a number of them, maybe 5 or so now.
This could be the 5th one.
Yeah.
So, well, ever since as a young man, maybe I had an opportunity, of course, to analyze maybe 3 of the elections. And apart from that, I also had a time to analyze as well our political leaders. And my main concern, Toivo, it's the way our political leaders, either ruling parties or opposition parties, the way they consider persons with disabilities, mostly in their manifestos. When they are carrying out their campaign, you hardly hear the manifesto or the page or even a quote in their manifesto that promise that no, if we happen to maybe to lead the government or to be in the parliament, we are going to promise ABC for persons with disabilities, which is quite painful because when you are going to join in a queue there for polling, going to cast your vote, you always hope for change. But mostly for persons with disabilities, we just do it for the sake of doing it. You don't necessarily know, like, okay, even if you are blindfolded in their manifesto to say this particular political party at least spoke a line that has to do with persons with disabilities. And on top of that, our challenges, I would not say they are huge, but we are facing challenges that really need, it need good attention, So be either in terms of accessibility, and mostly now we are looking into digital. Mostly the physical accessibility, it's well advocated for. That is very much appreciable. But when it comes to digital accessibility, it's a challenge.
Let me stop you there, Johannes,
Yes.
and just ask you to expand on digital accessibility, maybe in practical terms. What will that entail? What are those? What does it mean?
Yes, Toivo, when we talk about digital accessibility, as we all know that most of the information now it's being shared, in our social media, for example. But it's worth note to tell you that we as persons with disabilities, we depend on what we call assistive devices. So if then the content created on whatever platform it's not carrying accessibility features, then our assistive devices it's more like or more or less to access the content being created. You get my point?
Absolutely.
Yes. So if you post something on Facebook, let me say, for example, a picture that carry a content of something, but that picture does not have a description. It's just a picture there. Then me using my phone or my computer, then it's less likely for me to read that content on the picture. Yes. So that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. So, political parties have already started campaigning, and you are right that there's barely any content in their manifestos that speak to your condition as people with differently abled people.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So, typically, what do you want to see in an IPC, SWAPO, PDM, or whatever party's manifesto? What are the key things that you would want to see there?
Look, first and foremost, as a visually impaired, I would really like to first maybe physically, know the physical presence of those leaders. If I'm not mistaken, the current president is a patron of Namibia Federation of Visually Impaired.
Yeah.
But Toivo, honestly, I never met him. Of course, he's a busy man.
Yeah.
And his schedule is always tight. And of course, there are procedures maybe to see him. But, something that I would really love, and I believe most of visually impaired will concur with me, is that first of all, we need to know the appearance, maybe just the leaders to come to visually impaired. It can be even maybe we always have Disability Awareness Week or something, and we always reach out to them, sending them the invitation. We need to know them physically first, because one thing that I'm telling you, that visually impaired, firstly, they work with imagination. If I am now imagining Dr. Mbango Itula speaking, without shaking his hand, I would not even have any kind of physical imagination, like how does this man look. So I'll be just there listening in the dark. But it will make a lot of sense if they come just to say hi, so we will look more and we will sound more caring. And we will also feel more counted. Our dignity will mostly rise. We'll say, no, okay, our leaders, they will really care about us.
But Johannes, I can't imagine any political party putting a line that only says, look, we are going to meet people physically. There ought to be, at the higher level, things that maybe certain challenges that you as a community, as citizens, face, that you want really some sort of intervention from whoever is governing the country.
Yeah, that's correct, Toivo. That's pretty correct. And of course, our demand, it's a lot, and there's a bunch of them. As I indicated earlier, like the question that you ask, what would I like maybe from, the political parties that you just mentioned there?
Yeah.
Of course, we have a lot of, unemployment rate here.
Yeah.
It's very high. And when it comes to persons with disabilities, it's affecting us too much. But one thing that I would really love, I would love the government that will establish what we call a accessibility desk, for example. You understand? So in many countries, they have those kind of desk which we say, okay, we'll focus on different needs that's being faced by differently abled persons. For example, here we have a lot of resources here, Toivo.
Yeah.
For example, a diamond, copper, or something. But if you go to maybe a visually impaired someone and ask, how does a diamond looks like? No one will tell you, even the maybe the what, the how do you call it, the surface of a diamond. That is really disadvantaging us. But if you have the desk that will say, okay, maybe this desk will make sure that the access to information will be very much prominent, will be very much promised in whatever sense, to make sure that everybody benefited. So those kind of things. Of course, we have, for example, Ministry of Disability Affairs, and what really pissed me, so to say, is that whenever you submit a proposal like this to say, okay, why can't Ministry of Information, for example, establish the accessibility desk, for example, to say, okay, whatever information is being published, it should have to go through what we call accessibility testing. It has to go through that process to make sure that the information is being distributed. It's well accessed by everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was I used to work for a newspaper some years ago there, and I was managing editor, and we contemplated establishing a what is it called when you read with your hands?
Braille.
Yeah, Braille newspaper. Of course, I mean, when you do something like that, it's mostly just it's goodwill. It's not really business, because it's because you are serving a very small population that cannot cover your costs if you were to establish something like that. But we could not get enough support. So I just want to leave you with that thought while we go on a break, and then we will come back and talk about how can institutions, maybe because you spoke about vacancies, for example, unemployment. How can, for example, vacancies be accessible to a person like yourself? But
Exactly,
but let's talk about that when we come from the break in a moment.
Perfect.
our conversation with Johannes Tjitumba continues. Now, like I was saying, Johannes, before the break, the idea is to say that you spoke about unemployment as one of the challenges.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, is it due to maybe accessibility also plays a role in that you cannot, as Johannes with a visual impairment, you do not know when any organization is looking for a person like you.
Exactly.
Yeah. What has been your experience?
Well,
As a matter of fact, let's start with you first. What?
yes, thank you very much for the question, Toivo.
Do you have a job?
Currently, no.
Okay.
Yes.
But you have abilities to.
Yeah, a lot. I've got the potential.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but to come to your question, Toivo, there are a lot of contributing factors to your question.
Yeah.
As I indicated earlier, or highlighted earlier, that access to information, it's a big challenge.
Yeah.
And you clearly said the scenario that you gave, maybe regarding the newspaper to be brailled.
Yeah.
You know, of course, that could be one of the, the factor that will really benefit us, because, some people are more comfortable with reading, reading with their hands. But some of us who are, more advanced now, it's also much better with our assistive devices. You know, if the vacancy, for example, is shared on WhatsApp or whatever, Facebook, then of course I'll be able to access it. But as I also said, if that a particular advert, it's not carrying accessibility features, then it's more difficult as well for our assistive devices to provide us with a spoken feedback.
Let me ask you this question more directly.
Yes.
So you have studied marketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
So if a person who is not disabled, maybe your classmate, you studied together,
Yes, that's
graduated together, you are visually impaired, and he's not. Do you think that an employer must take you because you are equally capable as the guy with vision, or is it because of goodwill, just to say, look, the man, let's give him preferential treatment?
I understand your question, Trevor.
Do you consider yourself equally?
Well, I think first of all, if I'm in school academically and I am performing well, that can be even better than someone who is not disabled. That means I carry the full potential and I have all the abilities to be employed, in the alignment of my field or in the alignment of my potential. But the challenge comes here that the society, mostly, they judge on our condition. If we are there, among people who are not disabled, first of all, there is that mentality of saying, this visually impaired man, what can he do? So, but that is just reading the book by its cover. The content that I have within me, or whatever I've acquired within my studies, of course, it must be a weapon to make sure that my performance will be on point. Hence, the employment comes my way. You get my point?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Apart from from unemployment, what are the other, of course, you mentioned accessibility, access to information, and you mentioned that. Do you think that, is that more or less all of it, or do you think, or what else comes to mind in terms of the challenges? Because I can imagine that there must be a lot of really challenges.
Challenges are a lot.
What surprises
Yes.
me is that people like yourself have really enabled yourself,
Yeah.
because you came to studio here on your own.
Yeah.
I think you just got a cab along the way on your own,
Exactly, yes.
and got here, and you'll catch a cab to go back home again,
Yeah.
which is very, very impressive. But even that, there ought to be more challenges to your life.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, that's correct. And mobility to me, like from or moving from point A to point B, to me, that's not really a challenge, but of course it requires a lot of confidence. And of course it also requires a bit of mind map to know where you are. And yes, as you said, challenges are a lot, but they are spine of it, to say no. If first we focus on trying to improve, for example, on what you just said, accessibility, then it will cater, or it will be an umbrella to many of the challenges that we are facing right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me, the Namibian government prides itself as one of the best in the world when it comes to really making provision for differently abled people. They would say that we have almost a ministry of disability affairs.
That's correct. Yeah.
Headed by a woman with
Disabilities,
disability
yes.
too. What is your assessment of that stance? Do you think that the government, despite the challenges that you just listed, do you think there's been great strides made in the country in that regard?
Well, to be sincere with you, Toivo, I mean, you cannot completely say there's nothing being achieved by the government. And of course, we also have to be thankful of what is being achieved.
Yeah.
But there is a lot that need to be improved. And mind you that as we speak, even for example in the parliament, her voice is the only one mostly that represent persons with disabilities, which is also, it's low cut. We also demand that at least the voices should be increased. And well, it's a global phenomena. Even if you go to America, whoever the well-developed countries, issues affecting persons with disabilities, they are there. But the difference is that they are being listened, they are being considered, they are being headed by the policies, by acts. And if, for example, we are talking about, let me say, for example, there is a certain bank here in Windhoek, let me say here in Namibia, that has what we call spoken feedback, or that gives spoken feedback instructions. When you press, then it will give you a feedback, or it speak, But unfortunately, the problem or the challenge is there is no awareness. There's no awareness about that. So that means sometimes services or organizations are there probably to cater everyone, but lack of consideration, lack of awareness, it's what killing us.
I hear you.
Yes.
And it's a fair point.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute left.
All right.
The last question that I want to put to you therefore, Johannes, is around the social interventions of government. We have disability grants, for example.
Yes.
How helpful and sustainable is what you receive from government every month? Is it something that takes you from point A to B, or you think that it is peanuts?
Well, with money, Toivo, I hope you know the rules of supply and demand.
Yes.
You know, the needs are a lot, you know. And however, there's a promise that money made, you know, and the promise it says, save me today and I'll save you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the little that, of course, we receive, it's of course better than nothing. You know, there are countries that are literally receiving nothing, or persons with disability getting nothing. So my point, or my quick answer to your question will be only that, of course, it's little, but it's making a difference.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's all I can say.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Johannes, you must come back to the platform one more time. From time to time you must come around.
Not one more time.
More times.
Yes.
Whenever there's something to talk about. But thank you for making your debut, your first appearance on the show. We are grateful, and we will talk to you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Devo.
Wonderful. That is Johannes Tjitumba. He is a visually impaired activist who thinks that we as a country must be more sensitive towards the needs and aspirations of people like him. Thank you for watching.